Dear parents and students, as we open our minds and hearts to April, I hope you and your family are well and enjoying the goodness of life during this season of Lent. As I shared with our students during the first week of Lent, it is a time for greater introspection. It's a time to rid ourselves of things that may create obstacles or clutter as we find our way to God. I hope the last several weeks have allowed you to slow down, spend some time reflecting on the gifts in your life, and I'm sure that through prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, you have done a wonderful job of preparing yourself for Easter. At school, we have finished the third quarter of the academic school year, and we are now focused on the fourth and final quarter and the end of the school year activities that will come. As I spent time thinking about our Lenten journey, our daily school experiences, and how all of this makes sense, I wanted to take a moment and just share a story with you from my experiences at school. For more than 30 years, I've spent my life working in schools for boys. And over the course of my career, I've come to know that there are certain attitudes and behaviors that are very common in schools and with boys' education. One in particular is the use of inappropriate language or curse words. So I'll tell you the story that so late one morning on a school day, I was making my usual rounds throughout the campus when I came upon a group of our students kind of huddled up and engaged in this very spirited conversation. And at one point, there were a couple explicatives that were shared rather loudly. And while this behavior we know is unacceptable and inappropriate, I've always tried to handle it in ways to encourage rather than to punish. And of course, as I addressed the issue with the group of students, and honestly from the look on their faces, it appeared they didn't have any recollection of what I'd said. Honestly, I believe that it's become such a commonplace in some of our young people's lives that it's habitual. So as I engaged in this subtle reprimand for the behavior, I used a line from an article I read by Harvey Mackay. The title of the article was "Avoid Cuss Words at Work by Learning Better Ones." And I asked the students if they were aware that there were more than 250,000 words in the English language and fewer than a dozen were inappropriate words. And it was interesting to see the perplexed look on their faces. When I was sure they had heard what I said, I'm not sure they really understood or it made sense. And due to their reaction, I continued with a different approach. Based on the exchange with the students, I knew my next approach had to be more relevant. I knew that I had to help them understand that I expected proper behavior from them because it would serve them well in their future growth and development into adulthood. So using more of Mr. Mackay's material, I explained to them that the words that they use tend to say a lot about who they are, and I recommended they consider strengthening their vocabulary so that they had better options when speaking, and hopefully these better options will leave others with a better impression of them. And as a courtesy to their development, I asked them to consider engaging in some of the following practices to assist with improving their vocabulary. 1, read more to stimulate their brains and to use words that are more appropriate in context. 2, use a dictionary to look up words that they do not know so that they may use them judiciously in conversation. 3, try completing crossword puzzles or word games or things such as the SAT word of the day to assist with boosting their vocabulary in ways that would be beneficial to them. As I reflected on this experience, I asked all of us to be mindful of our responsibility to hold our children accountable for the appropriate and good moral and ethical development. It is true that so much of our success is a result of high expectations and doing things right, but we cannot forget that it is the foundational piece of just doing the little things which will allow us to accomplish the greatness we experience. Certainly this is an aspiration of our Lenten journey. If we work to manage the little things, the larger components will come together nicely, resulting in a positive and meaningful school-family environment with our children, and hopefully the life lessons that we can help provide will serve them better in their adult life. Best wishes to all of you and have a blessed Easter. Thank you.